Thank you everybody for coming to the Lantern Taphouse this afternoon. It's
right there at the beginning.
all right. So welcome to the Lantern Taphouse, and welcome to Senator Patty Murray. We're here to have a great discussion this afternoon on the Healthy Families Act. That's something that's near and dear to us at the Lantern. And so it's a privilege to be part of this event. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Senator Patty Murray.
All right.
Thank you.
First of all, Mike, thank you so much for opening up your restaurant and being such great employers and having such a great little spot. Really appreciate being here. Thank you so much. And I also want to thank Carrie. You're going to hear from her in just a minute. She's going to share her story with all of you. We have a lot of friends here, but I especially want to recognize Tanya Reardon with Planned Parenthood and some of your members. Where'd you go? Tanya? Back there. Thank you. Spokane City Council President Ben Stuckert's here. You're going to hear from him in just a minute. Thank you for being such a great advocate. And to the Spokane Alliance, to all of you who are part of that great organization. You are really wonderful advocates, and I can't tell you how much it means to be here with all of you as well. I am really thrilled to be here today to talk about a very critical step towards something that is going to help a lot of our workers and our families here today. And that is getting the Healthy Families Act signed into law. I am willing to bet that pretty much every one of you has a story, just like I do, about a time when something came up and you needed to miss a day of work. It happens to people across this country every day. Unfortunately today, for 43 million people in our country and about 1 million here in Washington State, catching the flu or needing to care for a sick family member means losing a day of pay or even losing your job. No one should ever have to choose between their health or a loved one's health and their own economic security. But our outdated policies are today forcing too many of our workers to make just that kind of choice. And that is not only deeply unfair, it is also a public health risk. Nobody wants a restaurant worker coming in with a cold, and parents who have sick kids should have the flexibility to stay home for the day instead of dropping them off at a daycare, where they make other kids sick too. In the 21st century, paid sick leave is something that we can and must make available to our workers, and that is why we need the Healthy Families Act. This bill will mean that when a worker needs to take care of themselves or their family, they're not punished for it. It's going to offer people across the country more economic security and more stability. And it would take us a step closer towards an economy that works for every family, not just for those at the top. Cities and states across the country are moving the ball forward on this, including Seattle and Tacoma right here in our home state, and there is a conversation now about how to expand paid sick leave right here in Spokane. This is the kind of policy that not only helps workers do their best on the job and home, it levels the playing field for businesses who do make the right decision and allow their workers to stay home when they're sick, so that they can compete against people with the same kinds of businesses. It's absolutely time for Congress to catch up with the cities and states across the country who are making progress on paid sick leave and ensure that all workers have the peace of mind of knowing that they will not have to choose between their jobs and their health or their family's health. So I'm going to be working on this critical policy that increases economic security and opportunity for all of our working families, because Washington State families and businesses want an economy that works for all of our families, not just a few. I'm not going to give up. I want you to know until I get this done at the national level. And I'm going to bring back what I hear from all of you today and other stories that I'm listening to here in Washington State back, and I'll be on the floor of the Senate sharing with them until we get this bill passed in Congress. So I'm very excited to be here to talk about this, and I'm going to introduce to you somebody who has lived the reason why we need this law. Her name is Carrie Ives Crow. She's been very kind enough to bring her daughter and granddaughter with her to share her story of why paid sick leave is so important in the country today. Carrie?
Hello, my name's Carrie Ives Crow, and I work in the emergency room at Deaconess Medical Center. Every day at the hospital, I see the impact of working families who do not have sick leave and constantly worry about my daughter and granddaughter. I have sick leave at my job, but my daughter who works at a local restaurant does not have sick leave. So when my granddaughter Lily gets sick, I have to choose, she has to choose between taking Lily to work or to daycare sick or staying home and losing a day's pay. And most of the time what happens is I end up helping her with her bills and so she can stay home with Lily. I also see people come into the hospital, especially during flu season, with illnesses from coworkers. Many don't have access to earn sick leave. If you work for a living, you should have access to earn sick leave. Almost 40,000 workers in Spokane lack access to earn sick leave. All Spokane employers should provide sick time for workers so sick children can recover from illness safely at home. No one should have to lose income or their job because people get sick or have to stay home. The Spokane Alliance, a nonprofit I'm a member of, has been working on this issue locally for over a year. We believe together we can come up with a citywide policy that supports both our workers and our businesses. My daughter and granddaughter deserve better, and so do all the working families in Spokane. Thank you.
I love seeing the family here, so thanks for bringing the whole family. For us, family and community is important as owners of the Lantern. For us, our employees are everything here. You know, we recognize that our employees are not just, they don't just have lives here. They're mothers, they're fathers, they're sons, they're daughters. And whether they get sick or their children are sick, you know, and someone needs to be taken care of, it's unexcusable to have to worry about not being able to pay rent, pay for food, or other just basic necessities. You know, the employees deserve to be cared for. They deserve to have that time off. There should never be a decision between, do I put food on the table, you know, or do I take care of my sick child? It's not just an issue about the employees, though. It is truly an issue about the entire community. As we take care of our employees, we take care of the community. Because sick employees coming to work is not just an impact to the business or exposing coworkers to being sick, it's extending it, especially in our business, to our customers. And that extends into the community. And so the way that we see it is we aren't just taking care of our employees, which is critical for us, but we're also taking care of the community. And that's truly the way that we view it. So I'd like to introduce my wife, Melinda, and she has an example of how this works at the Lantern.
So I think for Mike and I, in the beginning, Blair from Spokane Alliance kind of put the bug in our ear about this. And we thought it was a great idea, but hadn't made any steps towards that. And we had a turning point probably about 2 months ago. We had an employee who had been out for some family issues and came back a week later, and one of the days came in and he was sick, and I was serving that night. And I was upset when he came in. I was like, why are you here if you're sick? You know, go home. You can't be here if you're sick. You're going to get all of us sick. And he was upset with me. And I just said, no, you have to go home. That's just the situation. And I did the whole shift. And at the end of the night, I started thinking about it. I thought, you know, I wonder why that upset him so much, because it's just common sense. If you're sick, don't come to work. And then after reflecting on it, I realized I bet he was worried about money. I bet he was worried about he had just taken 2 weeks off. And how were they going to afford missing another whole day of work? So the next day I came to Mike and Sarah, our general manager, and we talked about it, and we just looked at the numbers, and to be honest, it's not that huge of an impact over the course of a whole year to offer to our full-time employees. So it was an easy decision for us, and the next day we decided to announce to our staff that we would be offering paid sick leave for our full-time employees. And for us it was just a simple decision of taking care of our employees and treating them like the family that we consider them to be. That's how we came about it.
Hi, my name is Ben Stuckert. I'm the president of the Spokane City Council. First of all, I want to thank all the great people at the Lantern Taphouse. I find myself here most Friday nights. But it's important that we're here today to hang out together with ways to make our workforce more productive. And this is a wonderful place when you can have great food and great beer and even better people running a successful business in a thriving Spokane neighborhood. You guys are doing it right. And I am happy that you call Spokane home. It feels like spring has arrived here in Spokane. People are on their bikes, people are walking through the park behind us and enjoying the wonderful sunshine. And it feels like a new day for our working families has arrived as well. Having Senator Murray reintroduce the Healthy Families Act is a great thing for the citizens of Spokane and the state of Washington and our country. There are many elected officials in Washington, D.C. that talk a great game about helping working families, but Senator Murray steps up and puts her leadership on display by actually proposing legislation. I don't do this often, so please keep the East Side Pitchfork team at bay, but I want to thank and brag on our friends in Seattle and the west side of the state for leading the country on issues like paid sick leave. Their willingness to go first on big pieces of legislation takes incredible courage, and other cities like Tacoma and Spokane often benefit from their model. Because let's face it, a mother should never have to choose between staying home with their sick child or making her rent payment. We should never have to worry that the hamburger we just bought comes with a side of fries and a case of the flu. That was a better joke than that. These are values that we all share as Washingtonians and Americans, and we can point, and Senator Murray can point to our neighbors in King County and other cities across our country and say, look, when we met the basic health expectations and championed the rights and values of the working families through public policy, the sky did not fall, businesses didn't pull up with a moving truck and head elsewhere. Instead, the policy is working and business is booming. So I'm here to commit on behalf of my colleagues on the City Council to work with our small businesses, the Spokane Alliance, and other stakeholders to craft a local safe and sick leave policy that will hopefully serve as a model for other cities in the Inland Northwest. And we're going to do it this year. And we will continue to strongly advocate for Senator Murray's federal legislation that makes safe and sick leave a fundamental right for all working Americans. We take immense pride in being a state that goes first in addressing so many issues, and we as Washingtonians are so lucky to have a leader in Senator Murray who continually steps up and leads the way for us. Thank you, Senator Murray, for all that you do, not just on this issue, but on all the issues facing our community, our state, and our city. We're in good hands knowing that you're in Washington, D.C. representing us. Thank you.
Is to say that in this country, we are going to make sure that you do not have to choose between being sick or getting paid. And that that's good for business, it's good for families, it is good for our country, and we're going to get this passed nationally. And meanwhile, we are looking to cities across the country to push us forward by doing it in their communities too. So I want to thank everybody who is here, who's supporting this, who's implementing it in your own businesses. Thank you. And I want you to know, I'm not going to give up till we have a country that respects families and respects businesses and respects the people who go to work every day. That's what this bill is about. Thank you.
See you. You guys are the best.